Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Horsesmouth Live. My name is Ellen Roken, and I'm here as always to provide you with great information to help you in every area of your life, especially your business. And today we have a really important conversation that I think will be so helpful always in your business, but especially with what we're dealing with now. We're going to talk about influence and persuasion and how to have great communication with all the relationships that you have with your clearly your clients, your team, your family at home, and also your communities. And we have an amazing expert here with us today. We have Eva Medlek, who is a high performance coach, and she'll tell us what that means in a bit. She's certified high performance coach and relationship coach. And she works with men and women on personal development, leadership, and mastering habits for success. She has a specialty in working with successful women to have happier, healthier, more intimate connections in their relationships without giving up their power. And don't worry, guys, we have plenty of fabulous information for you here as well. And she really knows firsthand, and maybe Eva, you'll get into some of the stories we're talking about, how a driven personality type can leave you feeling lonely and disappointed and frustrated and even resentful sometimes. But you can achieve higher levels of success without sacrificing your health, your well-being, and your relationship. So welcome, Eva. I'm so happy to have you with us here today.
I'm really excited to be here, Ellen. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so let's talk about what do you mean by high performance? I think we have an idea of what that means, but I'd love to hear from you, especially being a certified high performance coach, what that really means.
Well, it really is learning habits, practices, and principles that will help you succeed beyond standard norms consistently and over the long term without sacrificing your health, your well being, and your relationships in the process. A lot of us on that road to success, whether we're entrepreneurs, whether we're busy executives, busy professionals, and driven to succeed and survive in this climate, usually give up something. You give up your health. You don't take care of yourself as much as possible. You give up relationships. You're not spending time with your family, time on personal development for yourself. There's so many areas that we give up, even eating healthy, eating on the go, eating at our desk. And so when you implement a high performance lifestyle into your life, you can still achieve heightened levels of success sustainably and consistently over the long term while having happy, vibrant, intimate, connected relationships, having a healthy life, bringing joy into areas of your life, and really not feeling that stress and that overwhelm and that burnout that often accompany being a driven high achiever.
I could see this so impacting financial advisors, and especially in times like this. So, advisors are holding the space for their clients. They're
Yes.
dealing with worrying about their businesses and about their teams. And it's easy to kind of say, "Oh, my family will understand this," or "I'll have time to work out once things settle down." But to really balance all of these areas is really a challenge for a lot of people. I'm
You
sure you see
know,
this,
I see it in my own, I saw it in my own life, which is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. You know, when I was building my business and I love financial freedom. So this is my language here. And I was building my financial freedom through real estate investing while I was working as a hygienist. And I was also being a mom, being a wife, shopping, cooking, laundry, all of the stuff. And what I noticed in my relationship was we were bickering more, we weren't communicating as effectively, and it was really taking a toll. And I I just knew that, you know what, he understands I'm doing this and I'm working hard for our future, for our dreams and for our goals. And as soon as things settle down, we'll have more time to work on us. And then I remember specifically one day I was looking at his phone for something because he had gone to walk the dog. And I looked at his phone and I opened it up. And in that moment, my heart just dropped to the floor. And I realized I could lose everything that I have been working to achieve for us. Because in that moment, I saw that my husband was falling in love with another woman. And I saw evidence of infidelity and an affair. And it really just knocked the wind out of me. And so, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about the work that I do, about how you can achieve success without sacrifice, is because we're working hard for our families and for our financial freedom, but we're sacrificing our why in the process. My why was my family, my why was my husband, but I wasn't giving that relationship the attention it needed while I was building the dream for the why, if that makes sense. So we often think like we'll have time, we'll have work, we'll work it out. And so I share this with you because my husband and I did the work that really is the cornerstone of the work that I do in high performance. And that is we figured out our relationship style and how we relate and the habits, patterns, beliefs, and behaviors we were bringing into that relationship that actually damaged and sabotaged our connection and intimacy while we were looking for success. And so we had a breakthrough. We have the best relationship ever. And I'm really grateful that we had that breakdown because we were able to build a really solid foundation under our relationship now and achieve higher levels of success in our businesses as well.
You talk about high performance relationships. So
Yeah.
hearing that story, which is really so impactful, and the fact that you and your husband came out the other side of that, and I think any of us in business can relate. At some point, we've not put our attention on the most important things. We've thought we have been, but when you can look at a situation like that, we realize that at the end of the day, those relationships are so important. So I'm curious what you mean by high performance relationships, and also, in addition to personal relationships, how that translates into relationships with clients as well.
Well, as always, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so when you learn the art of your communication, learning how your habits, patterns, beliefs, and behaviors, what are you bringing in to how you relate? I actually developed identified, I should say, 5 distinct relationship style impressions that can sabotage or damage the connection and intimacy in your relationships at home, at work, and in your communities. And I've created an acronym of the word styles. And so you know, there's a seek to please style, there's a tries to control style, there's a yo-yos back and forth style, there's a looks to accept blame style, and there's an evader style. And so in my program, we actually identify which is the primary relationship style that you have and what are the traits, the adult traits that you that show up in how you relate in every area of your life, and then we set specific transformation goals so that you can up level how you show up. It's not really what you do, it's who you are being. And so, literally, if it's to be, it's up to me. And that's why when you look at ways of being that you can bring into your relationships to have greater intimacy, greater influence, and greater impact, you have to know yourself really well first.
So that makes so much sense. And I was, even with just the names, trying to figure out where I was and where my husband was. But give us an example. If someone is one of these styles, maybe one you see most frequently, or maybe there isn't a frequent one because you have six
Mm,
styles. Uh,
5,
um,
Style.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
I thought you said styles. Okay, so but give us an example of how someone might identify one of these styles and then how they might use that to up-level their influence and persuasion with other people in their lives.
I can give you one. Let me give you the one that I am predominantly. So I'll get really real intimate and vulnerable. It's the why in style. The yo-yos back and forth between passion and excitement and disappointment. So this relationship style develops if you've experienced some feelings of abandonment in the household that you grew up in your early life experience, and you're always seeking to connect with a parent, and maybe one or both of your parents have they're a little bit more concerned about what they're doing and who they're being. For example, maybe you grew up with a driven parent who always put work before family, and in those times that you did connect, you were so thrilled about it, but and you've always worked to seek that same connection. So the main traits that you bring into your adult life, if you have this relationship style, are having high expectations in your relationships, but experiencing the disappointments as anger when those expectations aren't met. And so, if you're doing that at home, you may do that at work, you may do that in other community events that you're involved in. That, yes, you get all excited, this is going to be great, and it's going to work out. And when reality sets in, you maybe show that level of disappointment is more manifested as anger, and you get angry, you're mad at your husband because he didn't live up to what you thought he would do in this particular project. You're mad at a coworker, you're mad at one of your employees, when really is you had this expectation, you were disappointed, and you didn't quite know how to um, register those feelings. So it's really getting in touch with, okay, why do I feel angry? Well, I feel angry because I'm disappointed because my expectations haven't been met. Okay, now we move into the transformation. What can I do? Who do I get to be so that I have greater influence and impact on this person? So that number one, how can I manage my own expectations? And number two, how can I call forth better performance or clarity on what I expect from other people? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I love about this is the personal responsibility of it, and also the personal awareness of, like, okay, this is really what I'm doing. I'm curious if there's a side of this. So, there's ways that once I understand my style,
Yeah.
that I can be more effective in dealing with people. Are there also ways, like if I know there's someone in my life who has a yo-yo style as well, are there ways that I can communicate with that person in a way that's going to be more effective, knowing that this is a hot button for them if they're feeling disappointed or not heard or whatever their hot button is?
Yeah. Well, I say the main thing is taking responsibility of how you show up in relationships. When you are transforming, the people around you automatically transform. So it's not your responsibility to manage other people's expectations, but it's your reactions and how you respond that can create different results. So I have this formula I love to live by. It's called S plus R equals R. You have the situation, which is the S, plus the middle R, which is you can react or you can respond, which I like to say be responsible, equals the result. So if, for example, as a yo-yo myself, if there is a situation that, for example, triggers me and I react, I show anger, I get upset. Oh my God, you never do anything. I ask you, or you always have this response, or I react that way. There's going to be a specific um, result from that situation. But if I take personal responsibility of who I am being in this process, that result can be altered. So you want to actually look for ways of being that will foster intimacy, connection, influence in your relationships. And you get to ask yourself certain questions. Who am I in this? What do I want? Do I feel seen, heard, and respected? And do they feel seen, heard, and respected? So it's always about who you are showing up in the process of your communication. So when you win that process, you'll have a better outcome.
So let's talk about how this can be used in terms of, say, working with clients, maybe not a spouse, where maybe you hold it back a bit more. If you're a yo-yo, you might not get
Mm.
angry overtly, but you might feel it on the inside or with someone on your team. What are some ways that we can up our influence and persuasion? You know, as advisors, I know that you're out there wanting to give your best advice, wanting to make things better for clients, and sometimes they just don't hear you. So,
Mm.
what are some communication things we could do uh, that go along with what you've been teaching us so far?
Well, one of the things that influencers have in common is they teach people how to think, not specifically what to think, but articulating how to think about a certain problem, a certain opportunity, a certain situations. So you always want to approach it, framing the positive, you know, instead of saying, I want, or I want this for you. You always want to talk about what we want, the intention and the goal. And you really want to challenge people how to stretch outside of what may be comfortable for people, especially when you're talking about their finances. They want to feel safe. And so you want to think of the benefits. You really, really tout the benefits of the challenge of maybe investing in this vehicle or putting your money here, or whatever that looks like, however you're advising your clients. Challenge not only what's good for them, but have them see the benefits of what's good for them and what's good for others. So you really want to frame the positive around the conversation. You also want to be a role model. So you're going to help people, challenge them how to think, challenge them about the benefits and really up level the benefits for them, but really role model the way. Use examples from your own life, from other clients who have had success, because ask yourself questions specifically. Who do I need to be to influence this person? In order to have greater influence with this person, they need to believe that I am. And of course, there's always that trust and honesty. So you want to be honest in your communication as well. And how could you demonstrate the best part of you? So you want to listen generously, because people need to feel seen, heard, and respected, and not just railroaded into what you want them to do. And just to really, how can I up level my connection with this person so that I can serve them better, so that I can be the best that I am. Because there, with anything, there's that know, like, and trust factor. So you've got to show up in a way that creates safety, trust, and respect. And they see you as a role model for what they want to create in their own lives.
Um, Talk a little bit more about what it means to be a really generous listener.
Awesome. I love that. It's actually winning the process. And what that looks like is, number one, you always want to talk to someone when it's a good time for them. I always like to say, you never want to have a conversation with a stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, or hungry person. And so you really want to, it goes back to feeling seen, heard, and respected. And here's what if I were sitting down with a client as a financial advisor, I would always check in and ask them, what did you hear me say? Because we automatically assume that people understand and are following us, and they may not be. And just have them say, does that make sense? What did you hear me say? Let me know what you think about that, and really take time to have that person communicate and give us feedback. Because if they totally got it wrong, it's up to you. It's your responsibility to, okay, let me say this in another way to help people understand, because a lot of stuff is based on, a lot of conflict starts with misunderstanding. And so you really want to be a generous listener. You really want to frame the positive as a generous listener. You don't want to, if you're planting a seed of a certain type of investment with some of your larger clients, you want to make sure that they are prepared to receive it. So I call it preparing the soil, taking out the rocks and the weeds and the old roots by framing the positive, starting with I love, appreciation and acknowledgement, talk about what worked in the past, don't go in with the problems, and really just set yourself up to win the conversation, but also to be quiet and listen when they're speaking and repeat back to them, this is what I heard you say, to make sure that you understood. And then people really feel that you are seeking to really connect, learn them, learn about their situation, learn about what's important to them, and not be on your own agenda.
I think that it's so important as advisors. I know when I was advising clients, I wanted to share my good information. I always had their best interest at heart. So there's this impetus to really just share, share, share. And I also know that when I was really deeply listening to them, they were so grateful because I think in today's world, people just aren't good listeners. And for someone to have an opportunity to come into your office and just be able to talk about what's going on with them, where you really are listening, not listening to think of when you could jump in with your solution, which is a challenge for
Exactly.
advisors to not want to go in and say, I can fix that. My
Mhm.
husband started to say to me, like, do you want an answer or am I just listening? Because he was always trying to fix things and it would drive me crazy, and sometimes I just wanted to tell him what was happening. So we're still
Yeah.
working through that, and
Mhm.
and sometimes it works great, and sometimes he's just quiet, and I'm like, "Well?" He goes, "Well, I didn't know I was supposed to respond." But it's only been 32 years of marriage, so,
you'll, you'll
we're
figure it
still
out
learning
eventually.
about each other.
You'll do it. But no, I love that you referenced that point that most of us are listening to respond, and we're formulating that answer in our head, which takes us out of being fully present in the conversation. So, first of all, trust yourself. Trust yourself in the capacity of your expertise that you have the answers within you and really give people your full attention. Put the phone down, look them in the eye, create that connection. Like I am fully present to hear what you have to say. I'm not distracted by a text that comes in or an email that pops up on my screen since we're all meeting virtually now. And I'm fully present to hear what you have to say. So much so that I'm going to repeat back to you. This is what I heard you say in this. Because I know a lot of times I'll still talk to my husband. I'm like, what did I say? And he's like, which I know that he's picked up the phone or he's done something else. Like, you know what? I'm here. Let's have a conversation. So yes, really give that person your full attention because, you know, no one's a mind reader and you get to be fully present so that you can communicate authentically and honestly and you'll have the solutions in you. So don't think and don't interrupt. That used to be my biggest problem because I'm always worried that I'll forget what I want to say. And so I'll have to interrupt someone so I can get it out. And one of the things I do is I tell my clients that I'm going to be taking notes during this and I'll write down things as they come up as I'm staying fully present and listening to them. If there's something really important that I don't want to miss, I'll just prepare the soil and say, you may see me write down something, and it's usually because I don't want to forget, or there's an important part that piece that I want to make to you later. So, ask permission.
Yeah, that's great. That's really
Mhm.
great. So I guess the last question I have for you in our time together today, Eva, is like, how can we achieve success, whatever that's defined as, without feeling like there's sacrifice, that we're not leaving a relationship by the side or that we're really being there? I guess that would be my true definition of success, is that it doesn't feel like there's sacrifice and all the things that are important to me are handled. But how do you actually
Mm.
do that in this busy, busy world that we're living in?
Well, you have to be intentional in it. It's not going to magically appear on your calendar, so you have to put in. I always say, schedule in the balance. Schedule in the balance. The first thing is to really, I use this analogy of cars on a racetrack, and they're going around at this high speed, and you'll see the lead car go off to a pit stop and have their tires changed, and they look under the hood, they do all of their magic, because I don't know about cars, but that's before a breakdown. So you've got to be proactive, and we don't do that enough in our day. When you are scheduling your day, you've got to schedule breaks, and you've got to schedule transitions. And what I mean by that, 2 to 4 minutes to, if you've been on the phone with a difficult client, you don't want to bring that energy into the next meeting or client that you have. They deserve to get your A game. And so it really starts with how you take care of yourself, how you stand up, get a glass of water. In high performance coaching, we have specific transitional exercises that help you actually bring more energy to a conversation when you need to release some negative energy you may have felt in between. And one of the things that I personally do in my life, my husband is the chief fun officer. I schedule it with him. Let's do a hike, let's do a walk. And fortunately, since we both work at home, we try to meet in the morning and just have a chat in the morning over coffee, and have lunch together if we can. Or I don't really eat much, but I'll watch him have have lunch sometimes. But you schedule in what works for you, but you schedule in self-care, because when you are stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, people aren't getting the best of you, and that affects all of your relationships and the results that you have. So
Yeah, I love
my
that.
and I'm going to give you just this quick. It's called Meds RX, MEDS, and RX as prescription. Meditation, ME, exercise, diet, sleep, and supplements. You've got to make sure you're feeling good throughout your day, and then you can show up as your best self. And that's a high performance lifestyle.
Good. I think I'm pretty good on the meds RX in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Eva. This is great. So, I am sure there's people watching this who are really interested in learning more about the style, um, descriptions that you have for the way that people come into relationships and learning more about you and your coaching. Where would be the best place for them to find out more?
Absolutely. It's on my website, which is just my name, evamedlek.com. And I would love to leave your viewers and your listeners with a free gift, if that's okay.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I have this ebook, which is really the guidebook I created in reconnecting my relationship to be the best that it can be, and also my relationships with the clients that I serve. And it's an ebook titled 6 Powerful Ways of Being that foster effective communication and connection in your relationships. And in that ebook, it names not only the being generous part that we talked about and being honest, but so many other ways. And I give specific examples on how to integrate that into your life. And so it's my little mini Bible when I want to show up as my best self, so that I can bring people into their best selves and results in their lives as well.
That is so generous of you. And they would go to evamedlek.com/PWOB. It's on the bottom of your
Yes.
screen now. That's so generous of you. Thank you so much. And I know all of you out there are going to want to go grab that ebook, the gift from Eva. So thank you. And thank all of you for being here with us today, whether you're watching us live or watching the recording. I'm so grateful to have you here. And my name is Ellen Rogan. You can find out more about me at ellenrogan.com. And if you go to ellenrogan.com/horsesmouth, I have a special report there for you and all sorts of other resources, a special report on what clients crave. And there's some other resources that I know you're going to appreciate to help you grow your business and some of the things we've already talked about with Eva. And so that's really great. And just another sneak peek, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing more information with you about the Extraordinary Advisor course that I'm going to be leading in partnership with Horsesmouth this fall, and we'll be getting you a link to that. And I'm really excited. And some of the things we talked about, like how to be a really deep listener so your clients can hear, we're going to talk about that in the course, how to find your superpower, how to have a really solid mindset so you can be there and grow your business, and all these things. And the reason I bring on amazing guests like Eva is because this is what's needed to be a successful advisor these days. I know you've got the technical things down, and I know because you're listening to this that these types of things are important to you. So the more you can invest in your personal development, the more it'll help your business development. So thank you for being here. And as always, the question to ponder is, how big of a positive impact are you willing to make? Remember, be great